la la.
Hi,
I love our theme song.
Oh my gosh, we're dancing by ourselves today. Wasn't that a song, right? Dancing by myself.
Yeah,
Oh.
dancing by myself. Yes,
Hi,
absolutely.
everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm Wendy Stuart,
And I am Tym Moss. And
Oh,
over my shoulder, if you can see, is my little Christmas tree. My roommate Janet and I decided yesterday we'd get a tree, and we decorated it and made some hot cocoa, and it was just very fun.
Oh my God, did you sing Christmas carols?
No, we didn't. I forgot. I'll get her to do that tonight.
Well, you can totally do that tonight. I
But
love
to close the door because she's in a conference call over here. So
Okay, yeah. So you just close that door. Everybody got a chance to see Tim's Christmas tree, and we all agree that it is just fabulous.
There we go.
Oh my gosh. How was your week, Tim?
Oh my goodness. It was so busy. I cannot remember everything that I did.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, one thing I do remember, I hosted the or maybe I did, I don't know. I think I was going to that night last week where I hosted the AIDS Healthcare Foundation's annual gala, their Christmas show, and it was wonderful. It was spectacular. It was such a great time,
That was in that beautiful historic location in Brooklyn. What was that building again?
It's called the Whalen. It's very historic. It was built in like the 1860s, I think. And it was a bank, which was for all people. It was for the working people and also men or women and servants who did not have any rights at that time. They were the first bank in to service the entire community.
You're saying that the servants lived in the bank?
No, that they could open bank accounts.
Okay.
Women and servants could open bank accounts and manage their money.
I love that it was so unequal then that women and servants, right?
We don't even think of that. Yeah.
God, it's like so incredible to me. Well, I had a beautiful time hosting an incredible dance gala, the Hannah Q Dance Company.
I love Hannah.
She is amazing, and it was really got me in the holiday season. All the dancers had on red chiffon. Hannah's choreography was impeccable. And talking about Christmas trees, she had the entire room surrounded by trees that she had cut down from her neighbor. I didn't go there with an axe or anything. The neighbor volunteered them.
Very nice.
Yeah, being that they weren't regular Christmas trees, they were just stark and feathery. And it really went, her choreography is very modern. So it went with the choreography. Now, speaking of Christmas trees, the cat is out of the bag as far as I'm concerned. The picture is up on Facebook. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I went to Pennsylvania to get a tree that is stunning. It was $30 because I said, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. That same tree in my neighborhood was $90. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
New York City is insane this year. So if you can if you live in New York, ride Metro North, hustle a car ride from a friend, but don't pay those prices. And you can take the tree.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy. And you can take the tree on Metro North, and then you can ride the subway with your tree. And a little tip, Tim, you know how we are always saying there's crazies that sometimes bother us on the subway? Nobody will bother you if you have your Christmas tree with you.
That's true. They might even sing a Christmas carol with you.
It brings, that's so sweet.
But I love the picture of you on the Metro North holding a Christmas tree. That was classic. Classic Wendy.
Thank you so much. So, oh my God.
Classic.
Speaking of classic, we have an incredible guest today who, unbeknownst to me, is in LA. I thought he was in New York. Go figure.
Yeah, somewhere we didn't realize the time difference, but we did get him. He pulled off the freeway and parked so that he could do this interview.
That's right. And he is in his car right now. That's right. So please, everybody, just pray for him. Okay. He's parked on the freeway. We all know in LA, anything can happen on the freeway.
Actually, it looks like he did get out of the car. So let's bring him in.
Oh my God, he's out of the car. Okay. Luka James is inspired by the forest and the surroundings of nature. He is a singer and a songwriter. He's got a fabulous new release called Hazy Dreams, which we're going to listen to today. And I just love what he wrote about Hazy Dreams. He said, it's the fight to hold on to that heart-opening moment in a dream and about his struggle to let go of a love. Ooh, I'm just beautiful, romantic. Welcome, Luka James.
Yay!
Hey.
Hey,
There he is.
How's it going? Can you hear me okay?
God.
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, good. And the time, there's not that much of a delay. Good,
No,
good,
it's good.
And you're out of your car, and it's
yes.
You know what's so perfect? Because everything that I read about you, because I perused your social media, and you're very connected to the forests and the rivers and the trees and nature. And I'm looking behind you. You have found the perfect background for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's not a fake Zoom background. It's really some trees. So
that is totally way cool. Now, did you specifically look for that background in the last 5 minutes? Because I'm very impressed if you did.
Yeah, I had to get a good composition. You know, I'm also a filmmaker, so.
That's right. I knew that you were a filmmaker as well. And we want to talk about all these things here.
Oh, today. Everything.
So Luka James grew up in Greenwich Village. You're a New York boy, yeah?
I am. Born and bred in New York, Greenwich Village. A lot of amazing musicians and poetry, and just the arts were a big part of my upbringing there, just walking the streets. It's kind of what everyone was doing around me, and I felt really inspired going to jazz clubs and blues clubs and street artists. I'm just very lucky to have grown up there.
Like, what were some of your favorite jazz clubs? Like the Village Vanguard?
Vanguard's good. Blue Note,
yeah. Birdland.
Even where was the place that had all the ping pong tables on like Christopher Street? That was a fun place to go to. They had some great music
down
too.
In the basement.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I guess I didn't realize they. Oh yeah, they would have live bands there.
Yeah.
Uncle, did you go there to play ping pong?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I was never really into the whole New York City bar scene, you know, like spending a lot of money. So I like that place because I could just go and, you know, talk to friends and listen to some jazz, play some ping pong, you know, have a good time. A lot of those places are leaving New York. You know, I hope some things go back, but you know, those funky like hole in the walls that just were like, you just have a magical night somehow.
Oh yeah, totally. And yeah, they're being, as you know, they're being replaced by high rises, but it's great that you know what, you at least got to do it. Now, do you come from a musical family?
That was my question too.
Oh, okay. Tim,
we're on the same wavelength there.
Yeah, I like that. I come from a musical family. You know, my dad plays a lot of Neil Young, and he, you know, the classic kind of all that music. And then my brother, I grew up really, he's 5 years older, and I grew up just putting my ear to the wall, listening to Nirvana and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that's kind of always, I really associate this, you know, the faint smell of marijuana, and then like listening to this music and Radiohead, and like I learned like ethereal kind of crazy vocals and stuff at a very young age because I was always looking up to him.
Your brother is Matt Namer, right?
Yeah, of the FMs.
Yeah. We've had Matt on the show.
Love Matt.
You know, I said to Tim, because I talked to Tim, I love that, like, your family has these two incredible music people in it. You know, brothers that are so inspired, totally different kinds of music, right? You each have your own sound, but I can't help thinking, like, I know you said your father played Neil Young, but are either of your parents in music?
Were either of them musicians? Is that what you're asking? Not really. My, you know, just not as fully as Maddie and I. My dad's a painter, so he would paint a lot.
Like an artist.
That type of artist. You know, my mom has an amazing voice, and like if you do karaoke and give her a couple like Chardonnays or whatever, she'll live out her rock star moment. And I think it's cool because, you know, I think a lot of people in life, they go through it maybe having regrets or like, oh, I could have been this, and I think that is one of the cool things about, you know, passing on lineage or if you're a teacher teaching someone else, because sometimes like the impact or the life that we thought we were supposed to have actually happens through someone else. And so I think it's important, to detach ourselves from the ego sometimes, and to realize that, like, oh, I could have been an actor, but maybe you inspired someone else and now they're living that life, and we're all kind of interconnected in that way.
That is really cool. It's obvious that both you and your brother picked up the arts. What an incredible family to come from, really.
Yeah. So your family, like your father being an artist, I'm guessing, were they supportive of your getting into music, you and your brother?
Yeah, relatively, relatively. They still, I think they would still prefer me to be a lawyer or something.
Right.
The money, I was doing more serious filmmaking up until the pandemic. I had my own filmmaking business. I worked predominantly doing human rights, NGO based documentaries and fundraising campaigns and gala films and all that stuff. And then when the pandemic happened, I lost a lot of my work because it was mostly international. And so I'd always been doing music. I'd been teaching music mostly through a thing called MusiCollage, which is like a vocal improv group, and inspired by Bobby McFerrin mentorship. And I never really thought I could take it so seriously as I'm doing now. But just that, I think that like existential moment of being like, what are we waiting for? Who are you living? Like, who? My next song talks a lot about this, but it's like, who exactly are you living? Whose idea of a life are you living? And like, what is that rumination in your head of like, oh, I need to appease this person, and they probably don't even care most of the time.
I swear to God, I am going through a similar thing right now, where I am just trying to rid myself, my mind and my soul, of all the voices from my past who try to tell me that I should live as they see fit. And I'm trying to just rid my soul of all that and just let the real Tim out.
But that's hard. That's very hard, because those voices play over in your head again and again. And it's that, I call it the buzz, the brain buzz. It is very difficult to push that buzz out. I struggle with that, as you know, Tim, myself. So
because we've got parents, we've got society, we've got school, we've got teachers, we've got everybody, and they always make recommendations based upon their life experience, not yours. And we all have to just experience life our own way.
Yeah.
It is interesting, because I'm thinking, Luka, that you came out with Hazy Dreams during the pandemic. Am I right about that timeline?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say when is the pandemic and when's not. I came out with the song, it released in, I guess, the beginning of October. I wrote it during the pandemic, and I filmed the music video with my partner Morgana throughout the pandemic, because it was just basically us two in a Super 8 film, and we were just filming our life. So it's a really authentic video just to our experience, trying to kindling a love and a romance, and also kind of like making the most out of a situation that was very different than what we had experienced previously. There's a lot of us, like you said, it's funny when you say like, oh, you're always in the forest, but before this, I was always in the city running around, like doing, different jobs and things. And now I think the last couple of years I've embellished that opportunity to be more in the forest and to I don't know, as in New York, I don't know, it's always the gravitational pull. I don't know if you two have experienced this, but the gravitational pull of meaning from New York. It's like, sometimes it was hard for me to get personal meaning as an artist, as a person outside of New York. Everything else kind of seems, I don't even know how to explain it, but letting that narrative go, and being more in nature, listening more to the ecosystems and the wisdom that's more the natural world.
Right. Now I can relate completely on an opposite. I grew up out in the countryside of Indiana, where it's all nature and all of that. and I crave the city. So it's interesting how people who grow up in the city crave nature, and people who grow up in nature crave city. So I guess it's just the curiosity to explore all things in this life. Yeah.
You know, for me, Luka, that reason I asked you, was the song inspired or born of the pandemic? My life completely changed because of the pandemic. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. I work in Africa, and I tell the stories that no one else is telling about gorilla and chimpanzee rescue because they're being poached and sold for bushmeat. Okay, I go out there, and all of a sudden, the things that I did and performing in New York, all of it came to a crashing halt on March 12th. Right. And for me, I felt like I went down a rabbit hole. It is ironic that all the people I'm working with now are relationships that I developed during the pandemic. And these are real friends and real artists that I'm working with. So the pandemic, in many ways, for creative people, depending on how you used it, was a rebirth. And allowed you to explore other things that you might not have explored before. I have a place in Milford, Pennsylvania that I went to recharge, to connect with. That's why I brought up, you know, the trees and the rivers. And in my case, it's also the birds, you know, what they're saying, what they're doing, because it recharges my creative juices to come back to New York, right? And be able to use all of that. Do you think that that is true for you too?
Which part of that?
Okay. Do you think that nature is a big impetus behind what you're doing?
Yeah. I mean, well, I think to both of your points, I think we have a lot in common. All three of us. It's you know, I face that rumination and that the voices in my head of doubt, and I think a lot of times I try to use another voice, like the ego voice, to get out of that rumination. But I think nature, like you're saying, like with the birds and everything, like that nature has helped me to get out of that rumination. Because sometimes I can't use that voice inside of my head to talk myself out of the things that's talking me into the hole. And sometimes I just need to shut off all the voices and listening to other ways of communication, you know, and that could be the birds in the morning or the trees. There's kind of different ways of interpreting existence. So that's a big part of my music, because with what I'm trying to transmit in my music is like, hey, I'm facing these same things. Like I'm facing, you know, a lot, you know, depression at times, or doubt, or imposter syndrome, jealousy, judgment, heartbreak. I want people to empathize with that. And then I want, you know, part of the way that I get through these is through the catharsis of music, the catharsis of expression, but also the lessons in nature. So my music is heavily, a lot of the writing is heavily like biomimic in a way. Like there's a lot of nature as references to working through a lot of, you know, the stuff that I'm dealing with. So yeah, absolutely, to your point.
I love biomimic. I have never heard that phrase before.
Biomimic, yeah, it's or biomimic, biophilic. It's biomimicry is kind of the idea of, yeah, like using nature's lessons, like the inner workings of nature to apply to anything. So a lot of people use it in terms of like solutions to, you know, heating a house. Like I'm going to use the way that a cave heats itself, you know, in nature to heat this modern house. But it can also be used for like psychology. Like I'm going to use some of the ways that animals or nature works through its stuff to work through my own problems too. So yeah, biomimicry. There's a new word.
I love that. I'm
definitely Googling that, like when this is over, because I'm so hooking into exactly what you're saying, because I never knew there was a name for that. But when you observe the way the animals in the forest live, how they relate to each other, it really is something that you start to think about as a human being and can connect to if you're open to it. And obviously you are. Biomimicry, I love this.
But also the nature speaks to us all the time if we're open to listening to it, to listening to its lessons. And the thing about nature is it is natural. That is what nature is. Where everything moves and exists for its own purpose. The problem with society and humans is that we all, when it comes to a purpose for someone, everybody tries to project their supposed purpose on everybody else, which can alter one's trajectory, if this is making any sense whatsoever. But I agree fully that nature, if you tune into nature, it will guide you. It can guide you, definitely. But one other quick thing, I did Google, it was Fat Cat is the place on Christopher Street.
Yeah.
Down in the basement with the ping pong and the jazz.
That's nice.
I love Google. The thought of ping pong and jazz, you know?
Right?
Yeah, that's a funny Google search.
Oh my God, I have to totally
I honestly put in ping pong on Christopher Street.
Perfect.
And it came up.
Could get a lot of things turned up with that.
No, really, Fat Cat was the first one.
Believe me, that's not the last one.
Yeah.
Leaves yourself open to a lot of things. So, Luka, can you discuss like your creative process behind your music? Like, if you have a way, do you write things down? How do you create?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm curious to know more about your creative processes as well. I love what both of you are doing. It's so cool. My creative process it varies. A lot of the music comes from loop machines. So like I had a small closet, literal closet that I turned into a studio in Brooklyn, and I just had like a loop pedal, a guitar, and a piano. And I would just loop over and over. I created like 230 loops of just different melodic ideas using 5 different channels that could create, millions of different harmonies on each channel. But I just would kind of go in and express myself melodically whenever I was feeling something. And then lyrically, the way that I write is often I'll just sing words and whatever is coming more from automatism, almost like a stream of conscious, and then I'll try to interpret that meaning, whatever is coming through, and I'll discern a narrative or a story or allusions or metaphors. And it's pretty cool because I've been watching the Get Back, I think that's what it's called, the documentary on the Beatles. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, I heard about it
yet, though.
Oh, check it out. If you're a Beatles fan, it's like a must watch. But even the way they write is similar to that, and it feels so cool. They're just kind of like jamming out, and I love it how some of my favorite writers in music, it's this whole idea of like, if you wanted to be an author, be an author. But with music, you're allowing kind of this other part of the brain or the heart to speak, and then you're interpreting it, and you can still say profound things, but you're kind of allowing the music to come first, the cadence of the words, the rhythm, the syllables. And so that's how I write. And then I have, like for other things, I have journals and stuff, but that's my process. And then just finding really cool collaborators for my EP, which Hazy Dreams is the first single on. I drove like 15 hours from LA to New Mexico to like a cabin that my friend got for free off Craigslist. And he had set up a music studio with a bunch of like electric guitars and pedals and Rhodes piano. And we just kind of didn't sleep for 2 weeks almost. No, we slept, but like we just kind of, it was snowing and the grocery store was 40 minutes away.
I love
it. So just musically, we just went a bit crazy. And it was, I can't recommend that process to everybody, but for me, it felt very cathartic and a really beautiful release just to experiment. I would like take my recorder and walk in the snow and then be like, oh, can this be like a snare drum? This like steps of or like I would, put a bird sound and then pitch it down or like put it in auto tune. Just a bunch of crazy things, trying to be a different sound. My music is trying to appeal to a lot of people, but also is I want people to feel refreshed when they hear it. Like, oh, this is familiar. I can sing along to it. It's catchy, but the way that it's coming to me is unique, because for so much art these days, there's a formula, and I'm trying to break that formulaic process.
Yes, good.
Yeah,
I'm I am all for the revolution. Yeah.
Viva la revolution.
Let's change art. Let's get back to real. That's what my thing is what you're doing is real. Let your soul, let nature guide you. And just having like that 13 days of just of letting it flow. Just try and experiment in things and let this happen and let that happen. And oh, I'm sleepy. Let me sleep. And get it doesn't matter if the sun is out or not, or when, time. I love that. I love those creative moments like that, where time just doesn't exist. You just create.
Yeah.
Do you think cool. So much of your work then was inspired during those 13 days by the sheer isolation of being? You actually were thriving in the isolation.
Yeah. I mean, thriving is a tough word to say. I think there's a lot of despair and challenge, but it's with the privilege of being healthy and having opportunity to do other things. There's been a lot of finding the silver lining and kind of like it's, I think all three of us have a lot in common. It's the shattering of a lot of our pre-existing paradigms, and then cleaning up those pieces and then making mosaics out of them and making a whole new thing, and maybe something that we weren't allowing ourselves to do because we were scared. And when the world shatters around you, I think it kind of makes you see your limiting beliefs a bit. So definitely the isolation. And actually the last song on my EP is called Isolate. And so this is how in tune we are. Sweet. And it's about when my partner got COVID and I just moved to LA and like everyone thought I had COVID. And so I was like, just like put in this like room for like 2 weeks basically. And
my God.
I couldn't see her. I couldn't see my family. No sob story. It was fine. But like, I was like, I'm like in this new city. I can't see anybody. And so I wrote the song Isolate, about that feeling of longing for my partner, not knowing how it would end up with her. And it's a story that I think a lot of us, experience of just like a very weird sickness and like social interaction. Like, what is the right way to interact?
Right. And that was just a totally unexpected, unfamiliar sociological experience.
Yeah. Right.
The whole isolation and because there were some people who had to isolate with maybe a partner or a spouse that they hated, but they were stuck together. You know what I mean? So everybody was experiencing all these different experiences going through that. It was so weird. But I love how you turned your feelings and your observations into art. That's what art is to me. Is being able to do that. And
that's the importance of art. Really just to help people see that like, oh, we have a lot in common, and that there's different ways of working through our stuff and our pain and processing. And for me, it might be music. For someone, it might be painting. For another person, it might be screaming. I don't know.
But again, you contribute what you do artistically, naturally. And there will be others that can identify with what you're putting out there.
My question about like your reaction, right, to the pandemic, and I can only tell it to you from what happened to me. I got COVID within the first 4 days. Well, of course I did, because I was in clubs every single night, even before they shut New York down. Not because I'm a denier, because I didn't quite comprehend this curve, right, Tim? Right, this curve. They were showing these graphs. I was terrible at math. I shut down to the graph, and nobody said to me, hey, Wendy, maybe the last week in February, you might want to stop going out at night and riding the subway 5 times a day. I did absolutely everything, but
No, she was calling me going, Tim, come on, let's go out to this club before they close down.
Okay. Right, you want us to, because Luka, you get this. You want to support all your artist friends. We broadcast our show from PANGEA in the village, East Village. I was here like 2 nights before. I saw Michael C. Hall at a club the night before. So in Wendy's head, this thing was coming. But okay, I'm going to talk on a very esoteric level because I can with you two. I was connecting with this virus before it hit. I felt all of a sudden it was on such a psychic level to me that all of these channels in my brain and who I was, and I knew I was going to get COVID. All right. And I knew I was going to wake up from this whole dreamlike state as another person. And that is exactly what happened to me. Does that make any sense at all?
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for this. You know, if it doesn't take millions of people dying, I'm all for shaking up the system. And
shaking up the system.
You know, like Tim, I'm a revolutionary in a way, and I don't feel exactly like the algorithm that we're all living in is the right one. You know, I have to say that I think a lot of people are facing. I mean, I just saw that the Surgeon General of the U.S. is saying there's a health crisis with teens about depression. It's like a serious, like head of the front, like Washington Post or something. It's definitely real that there's an epidemic of satisfaction and mental health. And so it, you know, I think, the algorithm that we're living in is off. And I think that hopefully the pandemic, I mean, sadly, the pandemic exacerbated that for a lot of people because, you know, the way that we solved it, most people solved or had to solve it was through more technology, more isolation, more Zoom and social media and more content binging and more self-doubt about like who you are and your career, less support systems. And I think that's for the people like you, Wendy, or whatever, that kind of had this reshaping or this learning, it's important to tell your narrative and like what you're doing now, because it's facing that crisis and then putting the pieces back together in a healthier way. And I wish that things like we're going to face this more and more as a society, you know, with climate change and social issues and inequality and revolutions and, you know, all this stuff that we're facing. And so how can we take crises and actually kind of maybe learn to go back to more innate ways of existing? That's my hope. I think Tim and I are definitely on the same.
I'm right there with you.
I'm with you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching If These Walls Could Talk with your host, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our amazing and very evolved guest, Luka James. And so why don't we take a listen to your video? Let's watch your video, which is Hazy Dreams. Is that correct? Hazy Dreams?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so we have that video. I think it's ready to go. Let's take a look at Hazy Dream by Luka James.
As I walk for day, lost smile as the pleasures fade. Cold shiver and I ask myself, did I love you in bed? But the tides do change, the pressures of the rising seas. I'm guided by Saturn's rings, perched upon lofted wings. Did I only dream of you, a vision with a plastic boo? Did I only dream with two? Can I just keep hitting snooze? Hazy dreams, I swim with you inside my sleep. Subtle bees, sweet nectar that drips and drips until I wake. Take these sinking ships and raise new sails. Push past peace and life for each coming wave. Sunburst day, allow me from your solar rays. Don't tell me that I've thrown you shade. I've been wounded by your tempting blades. Free and breeze, I'm settled by common leaves. Treetop to your temple's crown, hot treasure to your temple's crown. But if I only dreamed of you, fuck it, then I'll just hit snooze. Easy dreams, I swim with you inside my sleep. Subtle beats, sweet nectar that drips and drips until I wake. Take our sinking ship and raise new sails. Push rest, peace, and life for each coming wave. I won't wake up. I won't wake up. It's only just begun. The time that I wait, baby, don't let it go. Slow record and a hopeless tale, but we'll venture to higher roads. If you could feel me, let me inside. Let me inside where dreams reside. We'll go from lost to found, and we'll fight through the day. Oh, 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 oh. It's only just beginning. These heads of dreams keep spinning. Slow down time, slow down time.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yes, yes, yes. And I there's so much about that. For one thing, I love her outfit at the end. That is secondly, just even like, you know, turning the hourglass over again, like adding more time and just I mean,
slow it down.
So much in there. I absolutely love Hazy Dreams by our guest Luka James. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So honored, so honored.
How long did it take you to film that?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
The question was what was your time period of filming for that?
Well, so there's two parts of it. The first part was on Super 8, which I was talking about earlier, with just a little handheld Super 8 that Morgana had. We shot during the pandemic. You know, like it was just kind of whenever we were doing stuff, we were like, oh, we're going hiking, or let's like go to the water. We would just take it was very kind of like home cinema for us. And that's what's cool about the video. You know, the budget was like $100 or so of just getting the film. But the cool part is like it was very much an authentic part of our relationship, us finding love and in the pandemic. And she decided on a whim to drive out to Ithaca where I was living, and so everything you see is it's not really acting, although she is an actress. I hope she's not acting. And
really.
And then so I had all this so I had all this footage. And then a year later, I was like, well, this footage is kind of random and just kind of, you know, very personal. But then we tied it in by shooting like more of the scenes in digital of me watching the memories and then entering the memory world at the end. And so, yeah, it took kind of like a span of a year to kind of come together, which I'm happy that it is now.
But now it's a great creative process, you know what I'm saying? You really allowed it to evolve, and it has an extreme organic quality to it because you did that.
And I think we have our delay is back, a slight delay in there. But I wanted to say that we do have some comments that came in. Jimmy Starr and with Ron Russell said, yay. Apollo Cabrera says, nice. My friend Jenny Bookwalder says that you look like a young Kenny Loggins. Do you know who Kenny Loggins is?
I saw that.
Yes.
You know, that's the second time I've heard that, and I looked him up the first time, and I was like, yeah, it's like the blonde shaggy hair with the dark beard, you know.
And the beard,
for the Kenny Loggins.
No, but that's a compliment.
I love it.
It's a huge compliment. So now I wanted to find out a little bit more about your filmmaking, and documentary style. Like, firstly, how did you get into filmmaking? Because that, like music for one thing, is a combination of things. Like it's a combination of sound and sight and feel and poetry, and you use many different parts of your brain to create music. But the same thing with film, which a lot of people don't understand, is sight and like you were doing there with the background, like having it's a visual, but also you want to tell the story. You want there's so many layers to filmmaking. Do you have what is your approach, and when do you decide, yes, I want to cover this particular subject?
It's a good question. I think for me, it mostly comes from, for me with filmmaking, previously it was human rights and social impact filmmaking. So if I got hired by like the UN or something associated with the UN, or Worldwide Orphans or Global Brigades, Building Bridges Coalition, there's a big organization sometimes would bring me in to kind of help tell their narrative and their story, which was awesome. Or people would just more grassroots tell me, like my friend Tim Hardy in Myanmar, he's an activist there. He told me about his project, getting kids who worked in tea shops at a very young age to get educated using mobile classrooms and school buses.
Brilliant.
And I was really, so there's projects like that I just was like, you know what, I'll buy my flight. I have my camera. I'm going to tell your story. It's like,
that's from passion.
It was crazy because I've had a crazy experience with filmmaking, probably as Wendy's had too, but my films have been like involved me, hiding in the butt of above a wheel in a bus to avoid military rebels.
Wow.
Or like I've slept on tops of tea tables, and I've been all over the place. I've been to 35 countries doing these films.
Wow.
So that's my filmmaking. That was my previous filmmaking experience. But now what's really cool is the music is allowing me to explore more magic realism, more cinema, composition, lighting, stories that aren't kind of linear. They're kind of more evocative to the emotion. And so that's what's cool about music. It's kind of like allowing me to change from being very serious and very intense subjects to more playful, more emotional.
It's certainly a different narrative, but when I hear you've worked in 35 countries, and when I hear the stories that you're telling through film, I have to believe you're going to be out there again when we can be.
Oh yeah.
To tell those stories. I work with very grassroots non-for-profits, and like you, we pay our own ticket. We use frequent flyer miles. My husband is a cinematographer, and we just hire local people with no training, and they can be indigenous people with no training, but they're smart. Okay. And to help us. It's the ultimate experience of getting that story out there to raise awareness. And you are certainly somebody that is doing that. I am so impressed by what you just told us. Really.
Absolutely.
Wendy, thank you so much. Wendy, we're definitely kindred spirits too, because that was the big thing is like I was getting hired more and more to do all these projects, but then I realized that maybe it should be the locals telling their stories, and why is only like a Westerner able to use the camera?
Not us.
And so I developed a curriculum called Empatia Visual, which is like visual empathy in Spanish, mostly for Spanish or Latin communities. And it was really cool. It's like I would teach like kids 10 to adults, grandmas even, and a lot of indigenous tribes in La Guajira in Colombia, just kind of like composition, interviewing style, how to write a little script. And for one of the films I made, Memoria Nueva, or Heartwood in English, is a documentary. It's been a lot of film festivals. A lot of the last third part of the film was all kind of written by the Awayu community. So we're definitely And I think more and more that's got to happen, you know, just kind of like empowering people to tell their stories, you know, with whatever resources. And I love what you do with your partner. That's so cool.
And I love the fact that you are teaching the community how to tell their story, how to let their inner passions out, because you know, in a community or a tribe somewhere, there's somebody that wants to be a storyteller, somebody that wants to be wants to create music and sound, somebody else wants to do a visual filming. So there's, you know, and you're kind of opening the door to say, that's okay. Tell your story, film it, let the world know what's going on. I love that.
I totally do. Luka, what you're doing, I met someone else, an Australian guy in a village, right? With the Mercy people. Those are the people with the clay plates in their lips. And there was the chief's brother who comes over and talks to me in perfect English. He was taught by somebody, filmmaker, someone like yourself, right? That worked with him, told him how to film things. This is the best story. He goes on to win the Margaret Mead Award at the Margaret Mead Film Festival at the Museum of Natural History. He left his tribal area where he had only ever been in traditional dress, wore Western clothes, took a plane here, got an award. And I met this guy in the Mercy Village in the Omo Valley in Ethiopia, and it blew me away. All right. The thing about these people, they need to tell their own stories. And when people like us go there, okay, and this is not our, what can I call it? The great white dream of showing them the right way to do it. It's teaching someone how to use a camera the same way all of us had to learn how to use StreamYard. And it empowers the people from within. Some of the most incredible films I have seen have come out of indigenous people areas where they've had someone work with them. And those are the stories I want to hear. And those are the stories I want to help facilitate getting out there. That's what the world needs to know.
I love that. I love that story. That's, yeah, you summed it up perfectly.
You know, it's great. So what's
I was just going to say, because there is a huge difference of somebody from the Western world coming into an indigenous people and viewing it from his lens, rather than empowering people in that community to tell their authentic story. And just to cover it from within. Those are two completely different perspectives. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's coming up next for you?
I could go on.
Of course.
Well, you're watching If These Walls Could Talk with your hosts, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, and our amazing and wonderful guest, the very talented, multi-talented Luka James. Yay! So how can people find out more about you? What are your website, social media?
So I'm pretty active on Instagram. I like, you know, showing people my day-to-day little escapades and processes of making music and wandering the forest. It's Luka James with a K, Luka Luka James JAMES _. So definitely shoot me an Instagram message. I'd love to connect. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Luka James, which is, there's a lot of like live covers I'll do in nature of different songs that you probably know. And then I put also my music videos there. So please subscribe to the YouTube and then, yeah, follow me on Spotify. I have 3 new songs that are really awesome coming out starting in mid-January throughout the spring. And I'm hoping to build towards a European music tour next summer.
Yes.
Yes.
So if I can travel, I've been talking, I have 2 venues lined up already. That's the dream.
Great.
So come and connect with me. I'd love to talk about your artistic process, whatever you're up to, how we can collaborate, or also maybe you can find me at a show. And I'd love to serenade you wherever you are, whoever you are.
Do you have some shows coming up in the New York area that maybe Tym and I can catch?
I wish. I just played 3 shows there, and now I'm in LA for the next month. but I'll be back in the spring playing some music in New York, and
Well,
also maybe I think you two would love our singing circles we do. I think it would be right up your alley.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's MusiCollage. You call that MusiCollage.
I like how you're saying it. MusiCollage, like a collage, but it is also college. You're right.
Yeah, right.
I say everything wrong. I can butcher anyone's name. You have a really easy name to say. But
speaking of which, I was thinking earlier. So you had mentioned Matt Namer, who is your brother from the FMs.
Yeah.
And so, and I just happened to think, is your name Luka James Namer?
Yeah.
Is that how you got Luka James?
You've deduced it. Yes.
Yeah.
It just
is an amazing detective. That is great.
Beautiful.
But one other thing I just want to ask you about, because in society now, you know, the big thing is wear your hair short, buzz your hair, bald, all of that. And you, like me, have chosen longer hair.
Yes. I love your hair.
Behind just deciding to wear your hair long. Because
it's so bad, you know, I'm just embracing it right now. My hair's like the palm trees right now. So I'm just embracing the wild hair. I'm like, I was scared to look at the comments, you know. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna think I'm this like shaggy guy on the side of the road. But yeah, I've never grown my hair out. It's another pandemic thing.
Me neither.
And it's pretty tough to take care of, you know. I'm learning a lot from my girlfriend on how to take care of curly hair. And it's a lot of combing, and I'm really trying to avoid the dreads. And but I love just being a little bit different, and just kind of, it makes me feel a little bit more myself, because I'm such a weird person inside, you know, like I'm like I don't fit in all the time, and so when you could just, whether it's through fashion, earrings, hair, it's just like lets people kind of be like, gives them a warning to my little bit of my wild style. So
look out, I'm totally wild.
Yeah, because same here, because everybody started like shaving their head and going bald, and I was like, well, time to let my hair grow.
Yeah, you look good. Like, both your
likewise.
Tim, I always like that you have that one piece on this side like I do. We're connected. Yeah. Oh, you have it too, Luke. Oh my God.
Yes.
One piece on the side.
Which way is it?
So great talking to you today. Thank you.
Oh, and thank you so much for pulling off to the side of the road to talk to us. That was fucking awesome.
And picking the appropriate background.
Yes.
So
this is all fake. It's all, you know, I'm really in an office somewhere.
You're really in a YouTube studio. We know.
Really.
And that's a fan machine.
Very expensive fan machine.
Yes. Oh my God.
All right,
Luka James, thank you so much. We so appreciate you coming on the show and just chatting with us and letting us get to know you a little bit better. Congratulations on Hazy Dreams.
Congratulations. Beautiful.
And your EP, all the best. And we've got to have you come back again. And let us know when you're in New York next time.
Yes.
Yes, we have to hang. I feel a lot of connection to you.
Yeah, Tim and I are hangers. We are that.
All right,
I can tell.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, everybody.